In this lesson, we'll create some layer comps for a web page concept. So now that we've spent a lesson getting acquainted with the layer comps panel and just how we can create comps and how they function, we can now start to apply them in a more practical situation. So what you're looking at here is a page for a fake website titled junkazon.com. Again, this is a fake website, so don't go searching for it. But the idea behind it is that you could buy, sell, and trade all of your junk. So this is kind of a shopping cart section right here for the concept of this particular page for this site. Okay. Now, before we go any further, have a look over here at the layers panel. You can see that we have a lot of layers and a lot of groups. In fact, if we go into one of these groups, there are more groups and more layers. It gets very deep very quickly. So it comes back to what I said in the previous lesson, where if you're wanting to, say, create multiple iterations for this page, okay, it could be a little bit cumbersome to have to toggle the visibility of all the different groups and layers associated with those different iterations, let alone entirely different pages altogether that would be associated for this website concept. Okay, and some of those pages, you might not see a lot of the information that we see here, but you might see a little bit of some of the information that we have in other areas. And so it can become very muddy very quickly when it comes to toggling all that over here in the layers panel. This is where layer comps swoops in and saves the day. So going into the layer comps panel, we have some different comps here that I want to show you. This first one, My Junk, is basically what we're seeing right here. It's this shopping cart page where we have all these different items that you basically added for purchase. But then we have an About Us page, Terms of Service, Login page, in case you forgot your password. This would be a QR codes page where you could assign codes to different items of junk that you're wanting to sell. We have a pop-up that would be associated with that page, and then an account info page. So a lot of stuff there. And everything we just saw is all contained across these different groups and layers, right? Layer comps made it very easy for us to jump through all these different concepts that we have here. And of course, you can navigate across these different comps with these little arrows here at the bottom of the panel. So how about we go ahead and we create an alternate for the My Junk page, primarily focusing on the header area right here, okay? So what I'd like to do is change the position of the logo to start with. Okay, the Junkazon logo. If you scroll down towards the bottom of your layers panel, you're going to find it right here. So I already have it selected. And using my move tool, I'm going to go ahead and move this logo up to where it's a little bit more in line with this goofy looking guy's fingers. He's trying to draw emphasis to the logo. Okay, so I like that, how that's looking right there. So with that done, we can create a new comp. So I'm going to click on this new sheet button right here at the bottom of our layer comps panel. And now I can go ahead and title it. And I'm just calling it My Junk Header Alternate. So in this case, I'll go ahead and move that down just a little bit. I basically just focused on the position, right? So I definitely want to have that check mark. Now, I'm going to be doing some other things as well in regards to visibility and appearance. So just for good measure, I just like having all these check marked just in case I forget or anything like that. It doesn't hurt to have them all checked. So I usually just check mark all three of these categories. And I kind of mentioned that in the previous lesson. So I'll go ahead and click OK. There is our new comp. If we jump back to the one that we started with there, the My Junk comp, you can see the position of that logo is where it was previously. Okay, but I'm not done yet. I'd like to draw your attention to this goofy looking guy that we have up here trying to draw emphasis to the logo. I feel like we got a little bit of a tangent right here where his shoulder is just right on the edge of the page, right along the edge of this header. And it's kind of bugging me, right? So I want to go ahead and select that layer, the image for that guy on the layer titled Pointing. So it's right below the Junkazon logo. I'm going to hold down Shift using my Move tool. I'm just going to scoot him in just a little bit to where his shoulder kind of lines up with that guide right there. So I'm a little bit more happy with that now. Okay, so I'm not ready to make another alternate. I want to apply that change, that positional change, to the new comp that I just created, the My Junk Header Alternate. So to do that, we're going to hit the refresh button right here. And this is basically the same thing that we did in the previous lesson with that new layer where we drew the snowflake. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the refresh button there. Okay. And now if we jump back to the My Junk comp and then back to the header alternate comp that we just created, you can see the difference there in positioning. And of course, if you look at any of these other comps here, you can see that the header is pretty much the same as it was when we first started. It's the same as the My Junk comp here at the top. Okay. So how about now we create an alternate of what we just created right here for this new comp, where the appearance of the logo looks different, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to select the Junkazon logo layer. I'm just going to double click on it here, bringing up my layer style dialog box. Again, with appearance, you can apply a layer style, change the blend mode, or add an adjustment layer. So how about we go ahead, we'll add a bevel and emboss. Okay, and I might want to change the lighting on it. Maybe I want it more kind of from above. And while we're at it, we could also add a drop shadow as well. And I may want to lower the opacity of it just a bit. And I'll click OK. All right. So I want to go ahead and save this as a new comp. So I'm going to click on this new sheet button right here at the bottom of our layer comps panel. And I'll go ahead and give it an appropriate title. So for this, I'll just keep it simple, call it My Junk Logo Appearance. Again, I just want to double check and make sure appearance is checkmarked, okay? So we'll go ahead and click OK. And now I can jump in between the previous one, the previous comp I created, and this new one. And there you can see the difference right there. And you can see how we got a lot of different layers that are associated. Basically, you can see that the layer style effects for the new one, and they're not even showing up on that previous one right there, okay? So that's the difference right there. If you weren't using layer comps, you would basically have to, the workaround would be duplicating that logo layer, okay? And then applying those effects to it, and then you would have to toggle the visibility of each one of those layers. And so again, you start to add on to that, all the different additional things you want to do. It becomes very cumbersome really quick. So we're going to spend another lesson working with layer comps for this fake website. On this page particular, we'll kind of focus on switching out maybe a couple of images down here, playing around with some visibility as well. So stick around. We'll see you in our next lesson.